All right, so it's recording now. Perfect. So, yeah, it's around 7:42 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here in the California region. But yeah, I just want to make this video for some epiphany reason. I don't know. It's like for me, I had to do something. I had to get up and just tell it like it is. Even though there's not gonna be viewed millions or thousands of views on this video, but honestly, I didn't care because it's my first ever video being recorded for the first time on my webcam. I do apologize for the filter and for the effects. It's like I like to be privately with my room, so I don't want to see anything uh, disclose information or anything. Uh, beds that I don't want to be comfortable with privacy in this house. So I do fortunately apologize for the effect. So, to put a matter to short for this video is that I've been taking care of my own mental space or mental health, as you would say, over the course of 2 years. Um, I feel like spreading awareness, if you would say, on this video, spreading how important this mental health is, how to take care of it, and stuff like that, and just giving you my own personal journey of how I went through this uh I won't say hardship, but more of a improvement. I was diagnosed with I don't know level 3 depression. I forgot what's the name of the medical term for it, but I was not in a very healthy mental space. As you can see right now on this recording video, right now I'm just standard. I have nothing going on. I have you know no sadness at this time. But I feel like normally every day is a struggle when it comes to improving and engaging with my head, you would say. I was mostly like trapped in the void, mostly. A void where I couldn't escape. Uh, Mostly when it was during a time when I was locked in the room during the pandemic, when everybody was locked down and nobody had to go outside and we were stuck in our rooms for the past 2 years. It was at first I didn't think about it until 2022. That's where it started to change and develop. My brain started to unravel. It was more it was a more uncomfortable reasons that I had my lowest point in my life was on 2022. Around in midsummer, I would say midsummer or in mid fall or between the lines of that current year. But it was a very challenging and most gut-wrenching thing I ever witnessed, experienced too. And I couldn't focus. I couldn't focus the simplest task in my life. Even the time when I had to work before I had to renounce my position due to my mental health. It was at first an experience of joyfulness, and then started in, I would say, in mid-December, it started to crash. I started to cry. I started to have uncontrollable, downless emotions I ever had before. I normally never had this during the college years before the pre-pandemic happened. I never had this when I was in high school. And this comes from a guy who had mostly in his high school days just a joyful time. Despite of what the education system here in the Americas, or I would say the American school system, how it was, you know, controversial would say the school system was for everyone. I still had a good time, despite of everything. My senior year was a great time. I had to go as a senior package, went to go to Six Flags. I went to the prom. I went to dance. I even went to the Disneyland. graduation ceremony park, which they had like those events of every school before the graduation just to have a good time. And then I just graduated and got out. Everybody had an emotional ride since on June every month of graduation day. I was always happy. I didn't even think about the future because I was in the present, that moment, that time, that key frame in my life during that time period. It was it was mostly a happy time in my life. This is before when I went to the universities and college levels. I was going off to the workplace, having excitement, the key of success to an adult life, you would say. And I didn't realize too soon of 2020 the 2020 era, I would say. It started to hit me a little bit more into the head, heart, drive, the focus. And for some oddly reason, I just wanted to let this showcase this on the YouTube because this is why I wanted to upload my video on in the YouTube channel space. I was trying to do a video for quite a while, but I just had no stroke ideas because I was just so busy with college and school and just regular life as an adult. But going on forward in the 2020 space in 2021, 2022, it was it was unbearable at the time. I was panicking. I had many insomnia, paranoia, anxiety. Imagine that anxiety. As a kid who had going to high school, now 10 years later have anxiety, which is a shocking thing that happened to me. And then depression started to kick in. I never thought I would have depression. Believe it or not, as a kid growing up, like I said, during the high school days, I never even thought about depression because I was just a happy, joyful kid in my life. And now just, at home, recovering from my mental shutdown when I happened in my work because it was starting to crumble. It was an eye opener, I would say. And I received a lot of medical help. Don't get me wrong, received a lot of help from my from the insurance I have. I just got approved to see a counselor, a therapist, later on this week. So hopefully it goes smoothly on the process. But yeah, it was. I thought I had it all. I thought I had a great showcase, but when it comes right through it, I didn't have anything controlled. I thought I was my own boss in my own head, but in reality, I was just struggling to figure out what I wanted to do. And then it just started to hit me. I have more like a responsibility in my life that I never thought possible. That I will be in the same situation, the same uh, to move up on the ladder in the workplace and to make earn a decent living. Because I went to not one but two colleges slash universities before the pandemic started, and I just dropped out. And then I started to really uh, unwind to realize that I may have nothing going for me growing up. For the first time ever, I thought of that. And during the past of December, I'm gonna go forward a bit on the story and back and forth. So I do apologize if I go on an honorable tangent of my life. But it was I had a lot of dreams, a lot of scaredness in my life. I was mostly scared what would end up becoming my life in the next years or the future. I didn't understand where I would end up being in the quiet pick of time. Has always struck me so many times. And this is before I came into religion. As of moment in around February is before I made to religion. But before even going finding back my faith, I was a mess. I was a very unstoppable mess. I was grouty, I was moody, I was so mad. I had constantly almost have few keen fights with my own parents. And this comes from a guy who never had that much of an issue at home. I mean, granted, sure, we have our, differences, and the key struggle is understanding, but it was an eye opener, I would say, that reflecting this so much in my past, reflecting mostly my time on looking this doing this journal, I never thought possible. It was an eye opener that I had to fix this, had to fix myself because mental health is no joke, as most people would say, because it happened to me. And there are many people, my friends in my community, who try to help me, but I pushed them away because I felt that it was too prideful to talk about my problems. And there are times that I didn't want to think about it. And times I get mad and I blame my problems onto others started to get the better of me. Around 2021, 2022, it was very a dangerous environment in my head that I didn't know until I started to reflect, started to understand how aggressive my brain was. Right now I'm doing a couple of exercises, you know, spiritually, meditation, going to services for religious purposes, church, all that stuff, I would say. And I just wanted to wake up and do multiple times doing this video, but I just didn't want to do it because I didn't know how perfect the video is. Because I'm a guy who's constantly want to make everything perfect. Like the little smallest detail, you will see how in if I see something imperfect, I try to correct it as best as possible because I want the best product for myself, for the people to go and view the experience. Whether it's at the time I was also doing streaming, so I guess you could say I kind of kept that up from there. But when it comes right through it, no video is perfect. Whether I'm uploading this video on YouTube and anyone who can see it, they can know instantly that there's a lot of mistakes on my video. There's a lot of mistakes with the pop filters and the blurring I have in my background so people won't see it. It kind of lets the lighting effect. There will be a lot of problems when doing this video. So, I had to say, you know what? If God willed me to push this video, let me just push this video. I don't care how many likes or dislikes will this video will end up being because I just had to get this out of my chest because I don't know where else to go from here. It was a fresh to release all that tension and just say, you know what, whatever happens, what you do, this video will be public. No matter how much videos it comes, you'll get. Someone out there is probably needs some help that is going through the same thing you're doing. So I just did what I did. This video can probably go up longer than 40 minutes if have to. And people may not click the video because it's too long. Because many people have very short attention spans. But honestly, I don't care. I had to do what I had to do. Just to talk about my surrounding my mental health and to spread awareness for people who are going through the same issue that they're heading to this problem right now. And excuse me, I'm using a lot of sentences and vocabulary words that are not making sense, but that's just me. That's how my brain works. So if you are confused, I'm apologized for that. It was going back to the state I was. It was a very not thoughtful day. Even at times when I cried over the phone, even eating during lunch breaks, I appreciate my mother's cooking. Mom saw that it was strange. I was like, "You don't cry. You'll get through this. Enjoy it. Just be calm and be laughing, laughable." And just like relax, mom. I'm sorry. My mom would say, "Just eat your food, relax, take a deep breath, and go on the next day." That's all she said. But I was there, just crying still after the end of the calls. The voidism, the emptiness started to kick in. I couldn't imagine myself working at a retail store, having these mental key issues I had. I thought it was just in my head, but now I had to reflect and say, I have to leave this place so I can fix this, whatever this is where I'm happening right now. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to leave, to make that decision because I continued to work while having this mental state. It would probably would have been the end of having a real mental shutdown, like been happening right now in the middle of the store working in the 9 to 4. It would have happened in a severe situation, and I had to take my out of that environment and then fix this. So far, I'm doing okay. After I left, I just had to reflect a lot of I had to do. I noticed I became a little bit of angry, a little bit of, dare I say, hate, because I do have a lot of hate at that time frame, even back in 2021. I can list a long of stories I had and friends that tell me what I was at in my frame at the time. I was I was mad, mostly mad on my father, mostly my father. Even got to the point of hatred, like I said earlier, at the time. It was not pretty. It was not pretty at all when I had these rational emotions. It was a very, very unloathing, I would say. And this is comes because again, every parents, when you live under their roof, or if you have parents that you can't stand, you tend to lash out, or you tend to have bitter inside of in your heart, in your mind, in your soul. That dwells up that much to the point where it breaks you down mentally, that you don't know how to escape this routine of an every empty cycle. But thankfully, when I found my faith again, I forgave my father. Despite his many flaws, I ended up, forgiving him no matter what he did in the past of, being not the man, the respectable man in the leadership of the household of the family he should have been, because he knows he's also tired. He's also some broken, but he still ends up working at the end of the day, no matter how depleted he is. Same goes for everything, you know. I'm doing this video around at night on Pacific Standard Time, and I'm starting to reflect more. I'm starting reading more books. I even time when I quit social media. I quit doing streaming for myself because it was only not affecting me working, but I was uninspired to do other things. Most instantly, I couldn't even want to play video games or enjoy my hobbies like I did. But for previous years, when back pre lockdown, everybody was smooth and fine and dandy. Yeah, I didn't worry about anything. It was it wasn't the same after that. That I had to change. I had to change big time. I couldn't continue being resentful, being angry, being hated, hatred, yes, hatred of a certain past, of problems of my father and the rest of the families I had. I had to let that go. That's why I started to do walks after I left work, renounce my position to work on my health, my mental, walk outside at times, even though that right now it's raining in here in Cali, because we're having a weather storm right now. But you know, before the rains, I started to do walks, meditate, 10 to 15 or 20 minutes. I even stretch it to an hour to figure that out. But yeah, I had to let go of this much of burden and a lot of responsibility keep tolls in myself because, you know, I will share a little bit of a story, but anyone who can take this story or can relate to it makes me feel better that I share this on a video and someone's helping go in the same situation or same path that I was. I was having a lot of insomnia and paranoias when I was sleeping, especially paranoia. I had these dreams, vivid dreams that I can remember. But one dream I will never forget was a dream where I had walked in a very dark place with a beam dim of light shining the end of a tunnel of my head. And I walked through that. Whether you will believe me of this or not, it's up to you. But when I saw the light towards guidance to me, it was shocking what I saw. It's mostly the fact that I saw a painted memory frame picture of GDF, or Jason David Frank, who recently tragically ended his own life, you know, or you can say on YouTube, deleted him, delete himself. I didn't know the man. Mostly, I knew him from Tommy Oliver and Power Rangers during the 90s and early 2000s in Disney when they owned Power Rangers at the time. It was very frightening that I dreamt that, walking that shadow abyss and only saw a dim light reflect inside that tunnel. I don't know if there was a warning that you may end up going the same path if you don't fix this. And then the other dream before I had this one was more of a kind of reflecting, seeing my older self with white clothes, with a successful beard that I had. I don't remember the months of the dream I had when when I was sleeping, but it was like I was an aged man who went through so much. And I had my mother on her wheelchair at the old age of 70 or 80 years old. Don't recall how old she was in my head in that time frame. I could see the future. It was a mostly happy dream, more of like, what I'm fighting for. But that day when I had that dream, I had to change. The times I had those two dreams, one was dark, the other one was reflected of light. Probably I had within connection of those dreams. That made me had to change. I had to fix this. I had to fix my mental health. I had to fix my my state where I was. So I started to, like I said, do meditations, do reading books, etc. Because that very terrified me to that day. Then the the paranoia is always affect. Just recently, last night, I was dreamed that I was in alert that I see a presence of two people gonna attack. Shadowy figures, I would say. Don't know who they really were, but I had my brain in high alert. No one ever had before. Then my dad was outside in the living room sleeping, and I asked him, "Dad, do you need something? Do you need water?" And he was about to cough, in a very strong cough. I don't know how I predicted that, but I knew my dad was in trouble, and my brain just started to wire it and say, "Get up," even though there was nobody there. It was just a simple cough. But my dad didn't realize he was about to cough because I knew it was coming. He didn't know it was coming. Like I said, it's very, very strange. I always had these dreams, paranoias. it was mostly the fact that I'm starting to change a bit. I had been calm never before in my life. I was more of a spontaneous adventurer kid when I was growing up. Even one of my friend, a great friend, my good buddy, I consider my brother. Where's that enthusiastic man you were back then? I never seen you like this before. What happened? Even he started to notice something was going wrong with me, and I started to realize that myself. I was not that spontaneous and enthusiastic person, despite, you know, being and growing at the age what I was. I know along the line I had lost something. I could not know what it is because I'm still finding what I was. I do know one thing is that I was mostly tired. I was mostly didn't care about mostly in life, or even at times that in my neighborhood there are a lot of people less who don't say good morning, don't say good evening or good afternoon. Only people they have the relationship bonds between the parents that we moved in here. I've noticed something before the pandemic hit when we were locked down. The first time we moved to this new apartment that you see right now that I'm recording in this webcam, no one has greeted us in the neighborhood as ever. And I'm like, that's strange. Normally, the fact that you, as a parent, or any new neighbors, I would say, not parents, apologize for the vocabulary. You greet somebody on the neighborhood saying, you know, enjoy the neighborhood. You know, if you need anything, let us know. Nothing, nothing at all. At first, I thought that was normal because I get it. There are other people who have the other responsibilities they need to do. But when I started to reflect on that a bit, going back 2 years, no, sorry, 2019, it's literally 3+ years ago. It wasn't normal. It wasn't normal to salute or greet somebody. What I'm trying to say is that maybe people are mostly distanced from each other. There's no community here. You're just here to stay in an apartment, pay your bills, eat your meals, square meals, and whatever you do in your life, we don't know what you're doing. You're just there to eat, breathe, and supposedly die. And that made me think, just pause for just a sec, just to reflect what I just said. I believe there's a lot of people who are inspired today, just witnessing the environment that I was, that no one has just a purpose to stay living, but no purpose to change or help around what their environment communities to strive for anymore. Many YouTubers, many outlets and podcasts I have seen talking about these issues, I started to reflect on my self awareness and self around myself, self around, surround myself to look at what the bigger picture was. And I saw that yes, maybe there is something wrong, and I was right. This community should not be, or any community in general, should not be this hollowed distance or have greetings of saying good morning, afternoon, or good evening to one another. But we're just glued stuck to our phones all day, and it just takes us over and just miss out what life is. And I was a that was myself my habit as well. I started staring at my phone all day, even though my mom was always right. Put that phone down. And, you bury your eyes too much. But it was more than that advice from my mother, and I thank her for that. It's more than just looking at the phone and looking at it all day. It's more like to let go. Sure, excuse me. You have to let go of so much of that phone because it will not only control you and just controls your attention, you will miss out on life. And currently, this 2023 of New Year, I started to not use my phone a lot. I started to distance myself every 2 hours. Heck, when I'm going to church now to restore my faith, I leave my primary phone here, my cell phone, at home for 3 hours because I'm not going to use it because it's a distraction. You need to listen to the good book, the good verse, like I once when I was during my teenage years. I started, like I said, going back to my faith was very important to me, so I could just find out what God has me planned for myself because God works in mysterious ways, believe it or not. Before I forget any of this story, there was a time where my lower back was so much in pain that I couldn't even sleep on the bed, either my mother or my father's bed. I was so devoid of pain that I started not to sleep on one side. I was literally hopping back and forth. And once again, you may believe this or not, and it's up to you, but you take this out of the story. A supernatural good spirits came down and adjusted my lower back so much that the pain was gone. And I was not in a position of a chiropractor technique that I found on YouTube to reveal or relieve any tension on the lower back. It was just it adjusted and snapping back like it was a big crack, like a hugest crack I have never seen hurt before since last time I did it. I was not in the position either to be on that, but my back was cured on that week of February, the first month, and neither probably God helped me to say, get get up, get up. You have something to do. You have a sworn duty to uphold. And then after that, I started to work, started to take care of errands as a more responsible. Like I had a main purpose on that moment, and that's where I decided to go to church, mostly and frankly every day. Now, granted, I missed 4 days at the time of this recording this video, but I'm more going to church openly now because I pray to God. I pray to God every day. He helped me cure the back, and I started to reward him to read the good Bible and go to the church and listen to the pastor some verses and started to be in my own space to be there. Because at the time I didn't know any of this. I didn't know compassion, didn't understand sympathy. I was more of a in say in the community, I was more of an asshole. I was a jerk. And I was a jerk all the way through, even before lockdown, before even going to college. This was like around middle school, high school. Beginning high school. I was a major sarcastic jackass. Pardon my French. It was kind of an eye opener. It's kind of an eye opener for me to understand that everyone had their own phase in high school. I just didn't grow up out of it until the pandemic started and the lockdown happened and my mental health started to deteriorate. I didn't realize, oh my God, I lost control. I'm reflecting more a bit. It was a matter of you would say, an eye opener for myself that I had to mentally take care of this with the help of God. That I went back to church to fight this because it's not easy. Anyone who's having these mental health awareness or anyone who's going to the same scenario situation that they're headed, hopefully they can find this video and share this and not be afraid to tell their stories. Because I could believe it not, there are other people who are struggling this who are in more serious cases who have severe trauma and PTSD that, you know, they're afraid to open up because Probably thought they talked to a therapist and they can't even fix them. They're probably on medication right now and they don't want to be. So they just have to find a way that other people can relate to. And I hope this video takes into account. Mostly, I want to take this reflection journey slash video from this is that I have goals, like big goals. Not, and when I say big goals, I don't even have mini goals yet. So that's my other biggest problem. It's like I have to separate the mini goals with the big goals. It was more like I want to realize something. I want to help people. I want to help individuals who are going through the same mess that I am. But before I can even help them, I have to help myself. I have to illustrate the problems I have so I can fix this before I can fix anybody. Because I've been having great people that introduce me on my life on chat rooms, on Discord chat rooms, any chat room in particular. They share these encounters, these stories that I couldn't even bear imagine to understand. Like I can't understand how do you put yourself in that position. Or I'm afraid that you were experiencing that during walking just a minute along the street. They had troubling stories I have never thought possible. And that I think that taking away from that, it was an eye opener, a refresh, to say the least. Like I have problems myself, but I don't say my problem is bigger than your problem. We're all going the same, or we're all having the same issues, all the same issues. The fact that there's no window of an opportunity to talk about this stuff because in society we're shut down, we're shunned because nobody would care. And the sad thing in reality is I've noticed is that maybe in society they don't care about you. I had to swallow that the hard way. When I left the work and I understand my mental health that was deteriorating. Today, one day I could be there in miserable pain and having these depression, anxiety, thoughts, negative emotions, and simply the world would just move on. Just move on entirely. Cars, jobs, ever people have to work. They got no time for this. I have other things responsibility to do, so why should I care about you? That's a good question. Nobody would care because they got their own stuff to worry about. They got bigger problems and bigger things to do to pay their bills, to pay the less of their cars, insurance, any of the other bigger bills and errands they have to do. I just had to understand it completely. It was now for me, it was now or never. If I don't fix this, if I don't fix this mental that I have right now, I don't control it, I don't have these shutdowns, I will end up probably being dead. And I'm not saying I'm gonna like die. I'm just if I don't control or maintain a very strong mental in my brain, I may end up being severely in a severe worse situation. I would probably be in an institution. I would probably break down. I would probably distant even more to my other friends, to people, to strangers in what matter. And the rest of the world will move on and they will forget. While I'm just sit there. It was a lot when I had these dreams before I met God. Once again, restoring my faith. I realized that I may end up dying. I accepted death that day. That I may end up dead if I don't pull myself together. Where the hardships or the bad things will happen, because they will happen. All bad things always happen. You just got to be ready all the time. But when you're not ready to deal and confront this, that takes a huge and monumental toll. And that's where I was afraid. I was afraid that the bigger tolls of life, the bigger other problems are going to be headed as like a tsunami wave will not only shut me have a mental shutdown, I will be sitting there lying, not giving a care in the world, and just be dead in that side of my brain. Just just sit there in a zombified face. Because that happened to me. It was not pretty. Just doing a simple errand run with my mother. All we had to do was tangle the bus. And I was just there in a standard zombified stage mental. I was I didn't even want to hear my mother. I was just like this for 5 minutes. Didn't hear nothing. The walks, the bus, the sound, even the sounds of a busy bus of people started to be in my head more than my own mother's voice when it just shut. And I was afraid. To that point on, I had to change. I had to change for me. I had to change for myself because nobody else. I could talk to a group of people about this. I had a group of people talk about this stuff. But at the end of the day, it's just like a lot can take a lot of individuals and they won't have time because they got other stuff to do. So you have to maintain and control your own mental space here. That's what I've been doing. That's why I've been taking many walks. I've been taking a lot of, you know, meditations. I've been trying to read good books, audio books from Amazon that I had listened to and couldn't able to do to my schedule. And I started to reflect more. As currently, right now, it's that I'm reading the Bible and also a book that I met. Is called, it's part of my language. Fuck your comfort zone. The book that I'm reading right now. Yeah, you can't see it because it's blurry. Sorry. So I've been detoxing, you would say, away from social media and streaming, and started to read more books, listen to audio, and listen to audio podcasts that I actually enjoy, and start reading the good book of the Bible. And I started to realize that, you know, when you step away a lot of other things of the internet digital space current era, you simply don't care as much anymore. And you just start to fix yourself. So either way, a good thing, the distancing from the internet and distancing from streaming that I used to do, it started to help me to lower my anxiety, connecting to God, helped me to diffuse a little bit more of my depression. And I started to not um, sleep, late at night because I used to do sleep at nights because there was nothing to do before I was locked down on the room. I started to play a lot of more video games and other stuff, and I didn't sleep until like 3 in the morning and woke up like around 11 or 1 p.m. That was my daily routine before lockdown. But now it's like, since I'm doing the walks, meditation, I'm actually hitting the gym too. I forgot to mention that. I'm heading to the gym. This last week I couldn't hit the gym because I had been sick and I had to reflect my mental space a lot. And I started to do other errands I had to do. So I was currently unstable of physical, but I recovered thankfully, and now I'm able to go back into the gym and start to do my routines back and forth again. Because the end of the day is that you know I have to fix this. Nobody else can fix this but me. I have to put the dedicated time, the effort, and this current motivation to move myself to keep not relapsing like it happened to me many times during 2022 and 2021. What I notice right now is this. To anyone who's still watched this video getting past the 44 mark, I'd say thank you to listening me, going over the map with this video because I never had no script, no plan. This is just me out of the open, just literally my voice with the mic and a digital web camera that I have on my computer PC. If you were to take something away from this, is that you're not alone. You're not alone in dealing with whatever mental space you have. I'm saying that I'm there with you. There's someone out there who likes you. There's someone out there who likes you, loves you, and wants you to be the better version of yourself. There's a way you can overcome your depression. There's always a way. There's no way. Never let your Don't let your negative emotion, your critical thoughts take over control you. You control them, not the other way around. You have people who loves you every day, whether it's friends, family, a good brother you consider by blood or outside of blood. Whatever you have, there's always someone out there to help you. And I have noted this myself because this comes from a guy who was not the best suitable guy when it came with friendship. There's always people who around you loves you every day. So once again, I thank you guys for everything that I shared this video. If I share up another video just to reflect another key topic, I will. Right now it's very late at 8:28. I need to sleep because I need to reset this brain. And plus I got other stuff to do tomorrow. And I have a lot of other responsibilities and errands I have to do. And I'm always challenging to become a better version of myself and fight this. So till then, thank you. Have a good evening, morning, wherever you guys are from, and enjoy the rest of your day or enjoying the first day of the morning tomorrow waking up. This is GU signing off. Thank you. Bye bye.